Bundling with Dean.
Bundling with Dean Blandino, the former head of NFL refs and now Fox Rules analyst, going on the road with Brady and Burkhardt and that team, huh?
Yeah,
Okay.
every week. It's been a lot of fun, and you never know what could happen. You make one comment, it goes viral, and now I'm here talking to you.
Well, I definitely want to get to that when the radio audience returns as well. But during the commercial break, I'll resurface what we're talking about. Now that you're with Brady every single week, I turn to you. I'm like, were you the head of NFL refs during Deflategate? And you're like, yeah, you were.
Yeah.
You have chopped that up with TB12?
Oh yeah, he's awesome. I love spending time with him, learning the game. But I'll just check the PSI, whatever he grabs, anything. We're at dinner, like, hey, that bread roll, is that a little? Let me check the pressure on that. Yeah, he's great. He's such a good sport. I mean, he's awesome. So yeah, we give him a hard time.
Oh, well, hold on a second. Not that I don't believe. The most unbelievable part of that story is that there's a dinner roll on the table with Tom Brady.
Yeah, right?
Okay, really?
Yeah, I'm eating the roll.
That's what
He's
I was
not.
okay.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's make sure we understand that.
I can't.
Okay, so the rolls are on the table for you.
Of course.
Maybe for Rinaldi. I don't know.
Yeah, the Italians on the crew. We can't. We got to sit down within 10 seconds, right? We need some carbs.
When Tom orders, do they play the slow music behind it when he orders dinner?
We
the
actually
sort of
have
piano. If there's a piano in the room, does he you got to play the low, slow music?
We
for him?
have a kind of a quartet that follows us around. It's like a string quartet.
Nice.
It plays. Yeah,
See,
it's
by the
nice.
way, this man did stand-up comedy back in the day. Correct? You
I
used to be a
did
stand-up
many years
comedian?
ago. Yeah, many years ago in New York City. Yeah.
Did you open for anybody big at any point?
No, it was more. It was small
else?
shows. People would come in. A lot of that, like whether it was a big comedian, they might drop in and try some new material. So you never really knew what was going to happen.
So who's the most famous person that maybe even crossed paths with you did stand up with back in the day? Was there one?
No, not really. I don't remember. Because I was usually in the beginning.
Did you go by that name, or was there any other name that you went through?
No, I went by my name. We could come up with another one. I mean, people have called me other names over the course of my life.
Okay.
But I stick with Dean Blandino.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're not doing many college games because you're on the road?
Yeah, on the road, traveling more on Saturdays now, so I don't get to do as much college.
Okay.
And I love college football, so that's a little bit of a bummer, but I get to watch.
But didn't you consult for a conference at one point?
Yeah, I do.
Or you still do?
I still do. I work on the replay side with the NCAA, the CFO. It's called the college football officiating, and so that's kind of the arm that handles all the officiating.
So you help them with that?
Help them with replay and work with the different conferences.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a bone that I need to pick then at some point.
Oh, let me guess. Targeting? Maybe Is that it?
Yeah, we'll get to that. We're right here on Disney Plus and ESPN, the app everywhere, which you can bundle just like this with Fox Sports. Right here on the Rich Eisen Show, back here on the ESPN Radio Network, presented by Progressive Insurance. Former head of NFL refs and current NFL rules analyst for Fox Sports. Excellent at his job on a great broadcast team with Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, and the rest of the crew. Good to see you, Dean Blandino. Thank you for coming here in person. I really appreciate that, man.
Always great to see you.
Yeah, you know why I one of the reasons why I texted you. You said I'm done with the Tush Push when you were part of the crew in Kansas City, seeing it for the umpteenth time. And man, it helps to be part of a crew with great professionals and 90 cameras, I think. And that shot that they had right down the line of scrimmage, when you could clearly see the Eagles were false starting and it wasn't called.
Yeah.
Was that the play that caused you to say you were done with the Tush Push?
I think it was a combination of things. I think there were 6 in the game, but there were really 3 that stood out. Well, 4. There was the 3rd and goal play where they ruled Hurts short and it looked like he scored. And we got to spend 2 minutes reviewing it and looking for the football and all these bodies. Then on the 4th and goal play, they false start that doesn't get called. They false start again later in the game. And then the last one where I made the comment was Eagles are trying to get the first down to run out the clock. They run the Tush Push. It's a big pile. The Chiefs come out with the football. They're waving. They have the football. The officials don't do anything. And I've got Brady and Burkhardt looking at me in the booth like, what's going on?
Right.
And it was just a visceral reaction where I was like, you know what? I am done with this play. I'm proud of myself that I didn't say I'm effing done with this play, because that's where I was in that moment. Sure. And it just, then it kind of took on a life of its own.
So why are you done? Like, what?
I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this on the way here. I'm gonna present my argument 3 different ways.
Please.
Okay, 3 different ways. First, we'll start with health and safety. Now I don't think there's no hard data that says this play is any more dangerous than other plays in the game or short yardage plays, right? So I don't think that's necessarily a strong argument that, oh, we have all these injuries.
Yes.
But the league has in the past, I think about low blocks and some of the chop blocks and some of the things they've outlawed. There wasn't a ton of injuries, but the league said this is putting our players in a position of unnecessary risk. Let's be proactive versus reactive. So let's not wait for somebody to get hurt on a play like this. Let's say, okay, this is unnecessary. We don't allow the defense to push in field goal formations because the league felt it was dangerous, right? We're pushing these teammates, the down linemen, into the offensive formation. So I think from a health and safety perspective, being proactive versus being reactive. The second argument I have is that it's a competitively unfair play. It is. When you think about the defense, if the defense hits the running back at the line of scrimmage, stacks him up, and drives him 10 yards back, the offense isn't going to lose 10 yards, right? You got forward progress right there. But we allow the offense to push and now gain an advantage in that instance. And it's also a hard play to officiate consistently. It just really is. And it's never been legal in the history of the NFL. You go back, I was talking to Joel Bussert yesterday, longtime head of player personnel, yes, at the league office, liaison to the NFL competition committee, and a historian of the game, and he was reading to me from the 1938 rule book, as one does on a random Wednesday. And the language in that book about aiding the runner was almost verbatim to where it was in 2005 before it came out. So it's never been legal in the NFL until 2006. And so because the people that created this game and made the rules, they wanted to kind of separate it from rugby, right? This is more rugby play. It's not a modern football play. And so they wanted to separate it from that. And that's where I think, it's never been legal. Why do we allow it? And the third thing is, just as a fan, it's not a fun play to watch. I mean, think about the Eagles. Saquon Barkley last year has one of the most incredible, he's hurdling people backward, right? Wouldn't we rather watch Saquon Barkley try to get a first down, or some other than this, just all of these bodies and pushing? I just don't love it from an aesthetic standpoint. You want to excite me about NFL football? Let's watch the fourth quarter of the Giants-Dallas game. Let's watch that. This tush push thing again. That's where I'm at on it. But obviously, look, it's legal. Eagles do it better than anybody. Good for them. League's got to get 24 votes. They couldn't, and it's here for at least this year. So,
but I don't think they would be like, if the tush push was banned, we would now just see Saquon behind a fullback. We might see there are still quarterback sneaks, which are going to still be happening. They've always happened. They're just, I'd imagine, just as difficult to officiate. Maybe this one makes it more difficult to officiate because there's 2, sometimes maybe 3 people piling on top of the quarterback, because that's the way the momentum takes them when they're pushing him.
That's exactly right. These challenges aren't unique to this play. Like you said, short yardage plays are tough to officiate.
Right.
And I think if we get rid of this play, the Eagles come up with a quarterback sneak, I think they're going to be just as successful. I really do. It's just this idea of pushing the ball carrier, which has never been legal in the history of the NFL. It was never officiated that way, so they took the language out. And in hindsight, that really was a mistake, because if that language had stayed in the book, even if you don't officiate it, this play never comes into existence.
Do you know why they took it out?
Because it just wasn't being officiated, and they felt like, okay, if we're not calling this, why is it in the book? And right, the tush push didn't exist back in 2005, 2006.
I know, yeah.
So, but again, taking that language out allowed, however many years later, for this play to be born, and here we are watching it. Again, I don't think when you talk about NFL football and what it means and why people love it, it's not that play.
So knowing the competition committee and the way it works, and knowing membership and the way they vote, and knowing the meetings in which these all come together, as well as you do, 22-10 last year being brought up, and it's 2 votes shy of being voted out. Do you think that this is the last year we do see the tush push? What do you think?
I think it's going to depend on what happens the rest of the way, right? This is week 2, short-term memory. If nothing happens, there's no controversy.
They're going to run it multiple times. And the Eagles are on national television
100%.
or on standalone games on Fox
100%.
nonstop. I
So
mean,
the
it's going to
chances
happen.
that something's going to come up later in the season are pretty high. I really believe that of those, right, there were 10 teams that voted to keep it, 9, not the Eagles and 9 other teams. Of those 9 teams, I know there were several that felt like the Eagles won the Super Bowl. We're not going to take the easy route. We're going to be, the ego, and we're going to stop it, and we're not going to be seen as we couldn't stop them. They won the Super Bowl. I know for a fact that there were some clubs that had that in the back of their minds and might have been a factor in voting to keep it.
Sort of like the defense and the tush push. We're going to be the ones to finally stop it.
We're going to be the ones
We're going to be the ones that are going to stop it in the competition, not competition committee.
Correct. And look, the Eagles they're better than anybody at it.
They sure are.
And part of my frustration at the game was that the Eagles normally don't false start. They usually line up correctly. And it was like, okay, now if you're going to have this play that nobody else can do, and now if you're going to gain an advantage and the officials aren't going to call it, it just added to the frustration in the moment.
Dean Blandino here, former head of NFL refs and now rules analyst on Fox. And I guess you're going to be Bears, Cowboys. You're going to Chicago.
Bears, Cowboys, yes.
That's a big game. We'll see that on Fox later on this weekend. Replay assist. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I couldn't have been more excited that they folded into replay assist this year. Is somebody being hit out of bounds late? If there's a flag, let's pick it up if it's not the case. Same thing with roughing the passer. Same thing with 15-yard penalties that are so big. Same thing with grabbing face mask. Well, didn't grab it, pick the flag up. But they're not going to put a flag down on the field.
Correct.
I understand that. But I do seem to feel like there have been, is a guy out of bounds or not? And you can clearly see guy was inbounds, the flag was thrown, let's pick it up. They're not doing it. Am I wrong? Am I missing anything? I'm not saying I'm seeing every snap of football,
sure.
But I'm also seeing roughing calls that aren't roughing. And I understand that they want the officials on the field, that their subjective process is the standard. Like, let's go with them. But at what point we're going to have replay assist, have a different subjective look at something and say, pick the flag up? I'm not seeing that yet.
Well, I think that's kind of the next iteration of this. With replay assist, they wanted to keep it to the objective elements of the play. So if it's a hit on a quarterback and the referee says it was forcible contact to the head neck, replay can look at whether there was contact to the head neck. And if there wasn't any contact to the head neck area, they can pick up the flag. If there's any contact to the head neck, they can't say, well, it wasn't forcible enough, because then that's the subjective part of the judgment call.
Right.
So I think that's where some of these roughing the passers, that there was one in the Giants-Cowboys game on, I think maybe in the early in the game that to me wasn't roughing the passer, but it was more the body weight version, and that's not subject to replay assist. Hits at the sideline, it's whether the runner was in or out of bounds. That's objective. And again, still, regardless of saying it's objective, you still have people making these decisions.
Correct.
And
I do want the human element involved.
Yes,
of course, we all do. We all do. But we also, when does replay assist get the 100 people in a bar can see it, they all understand it, we know what it is type of mentality into replay assist? That's what I'm looking for.
I think
here.
that's the next step. I think that's where but again, you got to be careful. We don't want to re-officiate every play, because then the game becomes unwatchable, in my opinion. So I think there's areas. I think replay assist has been great. I think they're gonna, they always take an approach of, we're gonna crawl before we stand up, and then we're gonna walk before we jog, and we'll jog before we run. So I think that's where they are right now. We're probably in a walking phase right now.
So how does it work for people who are wondering? Does at some point in time somebody who's assisting via replay, looking at it, get in the ear of the head ref and say, we're looking at it, and the head ref might just call other officials over to take a second while that's being looked at? Is that how it works?
They have wireless communication, so all 7 officials on the field have an earpiece and they can listen in. The replay official up in the booth, the folks in New York in the command center,
yes, sir,
they can communicate to the on-field, all 7. So when there is a situation, maybe it's a hit on the quarterback, referee will communicate, I've got roughing the passer, hit to the head neck, replay booth will say we're looking at it and either clear it or no, there's no contact to the head neck area, pick up the flag. So it should be seamless. It's communication right away. They have access. They use the Hawkeye system, which you have access if there's 20 cameras that Fox is using. They have access to all 20. They can immediately pull it up, get the best angle, and communicate that to the on-field crew.
Is it possible then when we're seeing some zebras huddle up and talking, that replay assist is saying, hang on a second, we're looking at it, and it's like the Bull Durham conversation about candlesticks, who's getting candlesticks for the wedding? Like,
exactly.
Is that potentially what's happening right now? But I think
where we've come with replay assist, first year or two, it was like this big secret. Like, we all know what you're like. Stop, and now they've come out and said, okay, after replay assist. Because before it was like after discussion. It's like, no, you got it from upstairs. Like, stop. We know what's happening.
And people kind of, I think fans are appreciative of being officious.
Of course,
like that.
Of course,
because we want to get this thing right. You know, again, I'll never forget being in the first owners meeting that NFL Network we covered, when replay was up for a vote about being made permanent. And Charlie Casserly, who I think was running the competition committee at the time.
Yeah, he was a co-chair at the time.
When he was with the Houston Texans, he basically told the owners, if everybody with their new high-definition TV sets on their walls can see it, we should use it.
Yes,
you know.
Absolutely.
And so if we're all seeing it at home, we should use it. It's just, again, I would love for it to be used with, sure, like, did a part of the helmet hit a part of the upper body? Maybe, but if that's the case, let's pick the flag up, because that's not roughing. That shouldn't merit 15 yards to potentially give a fresh set of downs or alter the momentum of a drive.
And I agree. I think that's where you start. You start with the personal fouls, because those are 15-yard penalties. And the more you can do with that, and the more that you can get those right, I think that's a positive for the game. I think you got to stay away from things like holding and some of the other very, very subjective calls.
Hey, man, we saw pass interference was a holy mess.
Yeah, it was a mess.
When that was made reviewable, and that was a one and done, and coaches stopped challenging for it.
Because they never could stick to a consistent standard. It's like, okay, where is the bar? And it seemed to change every week. And so it also comes down to people and who's making those decisions. And do you have a small group of people that can make consistent decisions and apply a consistent standard?
All right, in the minutes I have left with you here, actually, can you stay to the end of the hour? I know I only gave you 5 minutes before you. Is that fine? I want to come back because I'm targeting something for discussion.
Yeah.
Did you see what I just did?
Wow. That was a good one.
Did you see what I just did?
That was amazing.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you calling that amazing, because I agree. After further review, that adjective stands as called. Back here, Dean Blandino of Fox Sports, kind enough to hang out for another segment. Our radio audience will rejoin shortly. I asked this question of Pereira. Who's the coach that always called you the Monday after an NFL weekend to give you the most grief when you were the head of NFL refs? Who was the one that you knew you were getting a phone call from?
Well, there was always, I had probably, of the 32, everybody called, everybody texted, everybody. Right. The world record is Ron Rivera, Thursday night. Game ended at, say, 11:32 Eastern, and my phone rang at 11:34. And I was like, did you? And they were playing the Bucs. Greg Schiano, I'll never forget, was the coach. I was like, did you shake Schiano's hand yet? Are you calling me? And
that's what you said to him?
Yeah, I was like, what is going on? Like, immediately got to the locker room and called me. I used to have standing calls in the morning. I remember Belichick was later in the week. That was typically Thursday, Friday.
Why was that? Because
he would have. They had a guy who would send in the plays if they had questions, and I would talk to him.
Was that Ernie Adams?
No, Ernie was kind of this was Bears.
Oh, this is the Bears era. Sure.
Yeah, and so
was always with him. Sure.
Who was always with him? Who was great, and so I'd communicate that way. And then Bill might call Thursday or Friday to talk more about, a lot of rules questions, but maybe the upcoming opponent. Bruce Arians was a trip. I mean, he would MF you and that for like 19 minutes, and then the last minute would be like, okay, babe, talk to you later.
Sounds like Bruce.
Yeah, that was Bruce.
That's funny.
And yeah, they were all like, Sean Payton just texted me on Sunday about the leverage call at the end of the game. Asked my opinion, what I thought.
What is your opinion?
I thought. Well, they announced the wrong number, and I think that was the problem. And everybody started focusing on the wrong player.
Right.
But the guy, it was 92, I think, that ultimately committed the foul, and it was a foul. You can't push off to gain height to block the kick.
He's texting you, hey, Dean, what'd you think of it?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
I got it. All right. I got Dean Blandino.
It's a tough name to pronounce.
Dean Blandino is here. I've got it. We're good. You are somebody who is a consultant for officiating, correct, at the collegiate level?
Yes.
I despise targeting with every fiber of my being, with the white hot of 1,000 suns. And the reason why is it's so inconsistent. Like, what is targeting? Like, what can you tell me is targeting? Dean.
So targeting, and I think the rule, I want to preface this by saying the rule has done a good job. I think the rule accomplished what it was meant to accomplish up until this point, getting the real flagrant, egregious hits out of the game. And I think everybody has adjusted. You don't see, in today's game, you don't see those types of flagrant hits that you saw 20 years ago before the rule. So I think the rule has done a great job up until this point. It's what it is. It's either lowering your head and attacking with the crown of the helmet, the very top of the helmet. Think spearing, right? Think what we all, growing up playing football, whatever it was, spearing, that is one type of targeting, and that would apply to anybody, a ball carrier, a defenseless player. Then you have the defenseless player version of the rule, which is leading with the head, the shoulder, the forearm to make forcible contact to the head neck area of a defenseless player. So that's the rule book definition. But I agree, it hasn't always been officiated consistently. And I think the angst, though, around this rule, the real issue with the rule right now, I believe, is the penalty. I think it's the disqualification. I think it's the carryover. If these were just 15-yard penalties, not that those don't matter, they do, but I don't think this would be as hot a topic if it didn't have this carryover. And I think, my personal opinion, I think it's time to rethink that penalty part of it, because players have adjusted, coaches have adjusted, and the rule has done a great job making the game safer.
Two things I also don't like. One is that replay can put a flag on the field for it. Infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. So if it's not called live, guess what? We're going to do, like, again, we showed the Michigan-New Mexico moment that obviously inflamed me because I'm passionate about Michigan football.
Of course.
That we're taking a look to see whether the ball was still in control by the quarterback based on a sack forced fumble and recovery for a touchdown.
And then, by the
way, not only is it not a touchdown, which, by the way, it wasn't, we're going to eject the kid for sacking him for targeting. And there's a difference between for targeting on sacks of quarterbacks. Yes, the defender's targeting the quarterback.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, that's called
his
football.
Job. It's their job.
You know what I mean? Like, he is targeting the quarterback because that's, the job of a defensive player, to sack the quarterback, to target him. Yep. It might be roughing. It might be the definition of helmet meets helmet. That's not targeting, man. That's not an objectionable offense.
You're spot on. You're spot on, because it's a high hit. And I think everybody would be comfortable if you say, you know what, you got to lower the target zone. It's roughing the passer. But it's not. You're going to miss the rest of this game, and you're going to miss the first half of the next game, which I'm sure had nothing to do with they were playing Oklahoma. If they had been playing Central Michigan, would he have been that? I get it.
By the way, you're not wrong. Of course it means a lot. That's why the next half of the next game is crucial.
It's such a big penalty. And like I said, I think it's now time. The rule has done a great job up until this point. I think players understand, coaches, everybody gets it. Do we need to have this draconian penalty associated with this when 99% of these are just kids trying to make a play? And that's
right. And again, that's the subjective. Like, was he trying to hurt the guy? Was he trying to do?
Very
like, was
rarely
it
is that the case.
Was it particularly malevolent on this player's part? Like, what was in his heart as he was looking to make a tackle? And I understand that you're trying to not, certainly when we're at a level where not everyone's got the professional football ability to make a mid-athletic thought process hit you to say, I need to make sure I don't hit him the wrong way.
Sure.
To ascribe that to an 18-year-old freshman
at full speed,
right?
It's a lot,
right? Especially since we also, the way it's sometimes called in the ACC, it's not in the Big Ten, where you're seeing a targeting call that ejects my Michigan Wolverine. You see something even worse later that night in a game, in the Mountain West or ACC or the SEC, and it doesn't happen. You're like, maybe that's where you come in. It's trying to make sure it's all
that's
the
my
same
job
nationally.
On the replay side to make sure that it's administered nationally consistent standard. And one of the issues with college football from an officiating standpoint is it's not like the NFL where you have 32 clubs, they're all under one umbrella, everybody, the messaging is the same,
yes, sir.
Leadership is the same. Now you have the ACC, which has their own officiating department, and the Big Ten, which has their own officiating department. And so we do bring them together and collaborate a lot.
When?
So it's a lot of off-season. We do Zooms. I do Zooms every 2 weeks with all of the different conferences. I bring conferences together. So it's not just one Zoom for the ACC. We have a Zoom with the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12. So they're together and they can hear the same message. And we go through, it's an hour long every 2 weeks. We go through 4 or 5 plays, work through it. Here's where we need to be on this play. Forget about what happened. We're not here to be critical of what happened.
Right.
How do we adjust going forward? How do we apply a consistent standard? And that's just one of the challenges with college football because you do have different conferences and sometimes the messaging can be different.
Who's the competition committee though? Who's deciding, you know what? We should be able to put a flag on the ground when it's not called in real time. I mean, who do you go to basically say that's absurd to put flags on the ground through replay? The NFL doesn't do it for a specific reason. Why is college football doing it?
And that's the College Rules Committee, which is made up of coaches, administrators, ADs, and so it's a cross-section of all these different stakeholders in college football, and we go through a very similar process. I've been a part of that Rules Committee. I've been a part of the Competition Committee. You look at plays, and they end up voting. The college process is a little more layered. They've got a playing rules oversight panel that has to basically bless these rules changes. That's going away on the football side.
All right.
Which I think is a good thing. That's going away. So you don't have all these layers. You can have the rules committee go through it and ultimately decide what we're going to do in the game. And I think that's going to help.
That's got to. I mean, because at this point, it's so inconsistent, it's so punitive, and it seems to be so arbitrary, and it makes everybody look incompetent. I'm not going to lie, man. It's a bad look. It is a bad look for when you're watching a game and you're like, that's not targeting. And then you look and see something far more egregious when you're flipping the channel, and la-di-da, nothing's happening. And
that's the biggest challenge with officiating. It's the consistency.
Coaches can't challenge to put something on the ground, right?
No, they can't challenge targeting.
So if it's a change of possession that mandates something gets looked at, it's opened up for targeting.
Yeah. Every replay can look at every play.
But you can't challenge to look at targeting.
No, coaches cannot challenge.
But if it's something that's mandated to be replayed, targeting's fair game. That's stupid. Have I used the right word?
Yes, you have.
With the right inflection?
Agreed. Stupid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on, Dean. Appreciate it. I can't even speak straight now. I'm so
fired up. We got it.
I am. Yeah, and playing Oklahoma matters, man. Could have used him.
I know. You definitely could have used him.
Okay, very good.
I don't know if anybody's beaten Oklahoma this year.
I know, which is kind of cool for them.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had Tim Tebow on, and I asked him who's the best SEC team, and I thought he'd go, well, Georgia, LSU, and he goes Oklahoma. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's what he said. Dean Blandino of Fox Sports is here. Tyreek Withers of the movie Him coming up. Got a couple more minutes to go here. Okay, so where else you going? You going Chicago, Dallas?
Yes.
And then after that, what's your schedule?
More Tush Push, Philly and Tampa.
That's a big game, man.
Yeah, that's a big game.
Oh,
that's
and
be a lot of fun.
it's in Tampa, right? Which means is Tom buying then?
Oh.
I mean, that's his. I mean,
that's kind of
why not? Because he doesn't pay for a meal there the rest of his life.
Grounds,
pretty much.
Exactly.
Okay.
They love him in Tampa.
And then what's week
after that? We've got Commanders Chargers
here in L.A.
Okay, which is great.
That's
a home
nice.
Game.
Okay,
home game.
That's a big game, man. I'm wondering if you might, with all due respect to Marcus Mariota, if he's still playing, and then they're struggling. If Do you have your assignments changed based on that sort of
They
stuff?
can,
They
yeah,
can. Okay.
sure.
And then do you know what's week 6?
I don't
Fox?
know if it's a doubleheader weekend. We've got some doubleheaders coming up.
Okay.
Not entirely sure.
Okay.
Sometimes it changes depending on how the teams are doing.
I got you. Well, it's pretty cool, man. I love having you on, and I really appreciate you saying yes and coming here in person to talk about this stuff, especially when you exactly know what I'm going to ask. Is there something that you, in the 2 minutes I have left, that you would love to have out of the game, other than the tush push?
Other than the tush push, I think more transparency. I think people, I've worked in a lot of the spring football leagues, right? The XFL, listening in,
You think
and
so?
being able to. I don't think you can let people listen into every conversation. I think sometimes that makes people a little probably less forthright and forthcoming, because if they know everybody's listening, maybe I'm not going to communicate the way I would if no one was listening. But I do think the transparency, at least getting out there, getting ahead of things, explaining, here's why we made a decision, not just, you see these pool reports sometimes after a game, there's an officiating controversy and there's one reporter in that market that is responsible for going
The pool report.
And they can go and talk to the referee, and it's very vanilla. You don't get anything out of it. And I wish we could just be more transparent and say, look, even if we messed it up, all right, we messed it up. Here's what happened. And the game's fast, and you get one look at it on the field, and everybody gets to be critical after 8 replays in slow motion. So
that's what happens.
That's the reality.
Thanks for coming on, Dean Blandino.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. Back here in a moment.